Damon, happy Monday. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, Kurt. Ready to go.
Okay, let's dive in. We've got a really fun topic. This is one of my favorite topics. So we're talking about the digital game plan today. This little tool, it's a wonderful resource. It's completely free, no strings attached. We have it right on our website. We'll add a link to the chat for everybody. And this is just a wonderful tool that we've been working on building out with our clients over a number of years. And one of the exercises in the digital game plan is the buyer persona. Okay. Now, Damon, what do we like to refer to those buyer personas as?
The soulmates.
Those soulmates, right? Like it's where whether somebody finds you on social media, they find you on your website, whatever it might be that they find you on, that is, like we refer to them as our soulmates. In your opinion, why is it so important to connect with those soulmates?
Well, because if you aren't saying the things that they really resonate with them, then where are they going if they need your products or services? I mean, it's that simple. If you're talking oranges and they like apples or they need help with apples, then you're not going to attract those customers.
Right. The other challenge, and I know, man, I've struggled with this for years, is when you try to be everything to everybody, what happens?
Nothing. You are nothing to no one because you're all over the place.
That's right. So I know, some of our biggest struggles have fallen on like when we're trying, like, hey, we're going to service this buyer persona. We're going to service this soulmate, this soulmate, this soulmate. And again, like you're spreading out your resources, spreading out your energy, and it just gets a little bit frustrating. So what we would love to encourage folks when you're trying to create that buyer persona is like, how do you get niche, right? And we'd like to say, how do you niche down till it hurts? Because, man, it hurts when you think like, well, what about this soulmate? What about this soulmate? What about this soulmate? So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, in the beginning, it feels like it's going to be too restrictive. But once you realize what it does, it allows you to really focus in, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't deal, you use the pink running shoes with purple shoelaces example, right?
Right.
I don't just want running shoes. And if anyone was looking for running shoes, it's a pretty wide topic. If anyone's looking for pink running shoes, okay, now we're getting narrowed down a little bit further. But if we say, if my customers are looking for pink running shoes with purple shoelaces, that is what I want to talk about.
Right.
And, so if I'm a CNC manufacturing component manufacturer, I do contract CNC work. I don't really want to talk to people that are doing something outside of, about things that are outside of my wheelhouse or my brand or what I'm really going to be helping people with. So it just keeps things focused, as you said.
Keeps things focused. So let's take a look at the digital game plan. So can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. And so let's dive in. So this is a fun exercise, little tool resource, again, completely free that we use with our clients. And so, when you take a look here, what we're looking at is like that ideal buyer. So, we have a couple different ideal customers, our soulmates that we've designated.
Mm-hmm.
Our dear friend Lynn is one of them. Lisa at Steel City Steels in Indiana. And so like, we really resonate with Gen Xers. It's really, gender wise, we absolutely work with both, but man, it's a lot of women. So it seems like it's women, Gen Xers, and they're in that B2B industrial space. So like what we've tried to do, not that we can't work with folks outside of that generation or outside of that scope, but it just seems like that's a majority of who we're working with. So I just really encourage you when you're going through and you're just thinking about, especially for folks that are just starting out, right? If you're diving into like, who is that ideal buyer? Because you want to get some momentum here. Mm-hmm. So let's dive through just a few of these characteristics here, Damon. So, we take a look at like the demographic information, age, location, family status. If you're targeting local, get real specific. Like who, if you have a ice cream stand or, whatever your market is, get real specific. What do you want to share here?
Yeah. I mean, the more specific you can get on this, the better you are, because really it takes customer understanding to do this well. Mm-hmm. And the better we understand our customers, we better understand how we provide value or why they appreciate what we do. And you can refine that and get better at it and provide more value and get more value in the heart of the customer.
That's right. So I'm going to give a client of ours. She gave us permission to show this example. Man, I absolutely love this client here. She's absolutely. So let's see, share this tab. Can you see this tab?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So this is one of our customers, love her dearly. And man, she rolled up her sleeves and she dove right in. And we created a couple different buyers. Okay. So we've got like, she's selling this wonderful product that targets Caribbean. And so she's got like the Caribbean culture enthusiast. Then you come down here, she's got like, the health conscious is kind of like the yoga mom. And then she's got another buyer down here. And so, we love bucketing those clients into different sectors, Damon. So like you think about, we kid around about like the baseball diamond, like the singles, the doubles, the triples, the home runs. And that's exactly what this client did is like she broke her, who's the consumer that's going to buy periodically, who's the one that's going to buy more aggressively. And then she went all the way down to like, who's that B2B buyer that would really be a home run, and understanding like what are their challenges, what are their frustrations, and how can we provide a solution or a product that just really, pun intended, hits a home run for that client, right? Any thoughts that you want to add there?
Yeah, taking the time to do this really allows you to make sure that you're addressing your best buyers properly, right? Because there's what, 3, 4, 5 of them there. You can write separate content or generate separate content for each of your buyer personas. You don't want to mix it all together if it doesn't it's not real cohesive, because the yoga mom might be different than the professional buyer. So you can create separate content that will help them. When you're meeting with one of those people, if you're in the kind of business where you're meeting with them, you can discuss different pain points in those meetings and really help to resonate with them and engage with them better in all of your contact, communication, whatever you're doing with them.
Absolutely. So let's run through this quickly on some of these different things. So again, if you're in a B2B space, we've got down here, if you look in the left, the professional status. And one thing that we'd love to share is, you're not necessarily just, we have the title. And, this is why this buyer persona is so important, because we're not just always targeting, a position, right? We're targeting a person. So understanding, like that person, their roles, their responsibilities, who do they answer to, and what are their motivations? Like here's a great example that we've come across that I just love. Like if we're targeting a business owner, right? They have 15 employees. They have a whole different set of challenges than say if you're targeting a civil servant who's a buyer for you, right? The business owner is like, man, like our what's going on with the economy, what's going on with the world, what's going on with taxes, healthcare, health insurance, layoffs, all these other things. There's a lot of stress on that business owner, and how do you speak to them? If you're targeting folks that maybe are a civil servant, or maybe somebody that's in a major, large corporation, maybe they're trying to appease their boss, or maybe they've got budgets, or they've got, they're on a bonus structure that, so again, like understanding those specifics. What are your thoughts?
It's a big deal. And, because if you can make your customers successful, you'll have more customers. That's just the way it is. Right. And, knowing their, like you show here, key job responsibilities, help them do a better job within their business, with their business, and to their, if the case is, to their bosses, make their job easier and better.
Now, if we want to be efficient with our time, what you can absolutely do is, hey, let's borrow some help from our friend, whatever AI tool that you're using, ChatGPT or whatever. Take some of your information, your customer information, your company information, and if you're versed on AI, you're versed on ChatGPT, you could take this in here and say, hey, Chat, create a buyer persona for me, right? And here's my single. Here's a person that would buy periodically. Here's a person that would, just be a great customer. Here's going to be a customer that's like a little bit of a different level. It's funny, Damon, most of our B2B clients, it's like they're not necessarily looking for singles. They're not necessarily looking for the home runs. They love those doubles and triples.
Yep.
And
that's the good, solid customers that come around, spend a bit of money, love what you do. Those are the ones.
Right. And the more that you understand, again, like that B2B buyer, whether, government agency, whether it's a large corporation or another small business, whatever that might be, diving in and understanding, like here, we've got like, hey, what's the bio of that person?
Yeah.
Right? What are the frustrations? What motivates them? Yeah. You know what? I'm reading a phenomenal book right now. I know you know this book well, The Go Giver, right?
Yep.
Go Giver by Bob Berg. And just, the more that I tell you, I couldn't recommend that book to more. Bob, we need to get Bob Berg on the show, right? And he does a phenomenal job of like really in simple steps of like how to be that go giver. And the more you understand your buyer persona, that soulmate, that's how, and these aren't my words, these are his words. It's the path to success, right?
Yeah. And, one of the things that we rarely talk about with the buyer persona and the digital game plan is it's not just for marketing, right? It's for operations as well, because the things that you learn by doing a really good buyer persona may help you change the way you offer your products or services, or how they're delivered, or how you really interact with the customer throughout the process to make a complete blue ocean opportunity for yourself.
Right. I totally agree. So again, we'll start winding down. So we just want to do a quick little jam session on why that ideal buyer persona is so important, such a critical piece to your success. We have a free worksheet here if this would be helpful. If on the other hand, just jump right into ChatGPT or your favorite AI tool and start, really niche down and get a clear and concise understanding of your ideal buyer and how you can help them win. Damon, any parting thoughts, words of wisdom that you want to share today?
It's well worth it to take the time to understand your buyer better than you do now, if you haven't already. That's for sure.
Yes. And we'll take it one step further. Maybe this will be our topic next week. Understanding your buyer and understanding, and if you're in a B2B space, under your customer's customer.
Yep.
The more you understand your customer's customer and understand those challenges and help your customer be successful with their customer, you, my friend, will be just as successful. So, all right, we're going to close out. We thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We wish you an amazing, incredible, wonderful rest of your week. We've got another great session coming up on Friday. We hope you're here to join us. And so, hey, just keep going out and be someone's inspiration, just like Damon, and you too will make the world a better place. How's that? So, all right, guys, have a great week. God bless you. We'll see you soon.